I wonder how many women right now are just like thinking to themselves privately, feminism was a mistake. I am not saying every single woman thinks this. I am not saying they should think this. And I am not saying feminism was a mistake. Slow down there, woke leftists. I am saying, I am wondering how many women think that thing. Maybe it's 1 or 0. Maybe it's 1,000,000. Because we got this story about this young woman who is crying because she has to go business to business with resumes to find a job. She's crying over this. Oh, it's so wild. She's like, I went to college. I have 3 degrees. I speak multiple languages. It's a harsh reality. You were misled. And the reason why I asked the question about how many women may be privately thinking to themselves feminism sucks is because, there is no world in which you would not be doing this. None. Except where you'd be like a trad wife and some dude would work and you'd stay at home and that was the expectation. You go way back in time. 100 years or whatever. There's no expectation for women to have jobs. The men get jobs. So when the women get old enough, men and women then come together and they're like, you got to find a wife. They get married. Then the guy gets a job. He's working for family or whatever. And then it's not absolute, but there's the tendency. The woman would have the kids and take care of the family at home, and the man would go off and make the money. But today, women are expected to do exactly what a man would do and go out and find that job to make that money. Now, feminism isn't really the issue right here in this for this individual circumstance. There's a lot of things that are wrong. In the immediate, she could still literally try and find a guy, get married, and then not have to work. She says, I just want to be a TikToker if I'm being real with you. Yeah, few and far between, I got to tell you. And that's a job. Making content and being successful is just another kind of work. It's the work you want to do. I respect that. So maybe if you lived with someone who was bringing home the bacon, you'd have more time to focus on maybe being a TikToker. Now, again, I'm not saying it's literally just that, feminism caused all these problems or whatever. I'm saying I wonder if there are women who are like, why am I going out business to business with resumes? That's a thing guys have always done. I did it when I was younger. I had it was like a little blue folder with a clear front, and I had a bunch of resumes. And I had to walk down for 2 or 3 miles. Most of you have probably done this. Going to every business bag, are you hiring? When I was 21, I lived in Wrigleyville in Chicago, and I'm on Clark Street, and I went business to business saying, I'm looking for work. And they all said, nope. Oh, it was amazing. They had no use for me. 21-year-old guy. And it's frustrating, and it's difficult, because outside of that, in my neighborhood growing up, the women had all the entry-level preference. That's just it. So I'm in Wrigleyville. I'm 21. I go into a bar and I say, I'll do anything. And they're like, look, we need bartenders or security. You're not big enough for security. And we're going to hire a security company with insurance. And these guys are all 6'5" and they're massive. We don't need a 5'10" guy to do that. And as for a bartender, you're either going to be a trained bartender who can make all the fancy drinks or a hot chick. Which one are you? And I'm like, I have neither. Can I take out your garbage? And they're like, no, because that's just an ancillary duty for anybody who works here. See you later. And I was like, man, eventually I did get hired as security for a venue called the Metro. And that was mostly because they were like, they got their big guys who can lift and carry out people, but they needed general security. And it was like, I would stand on the balcony and I would look down at the crowd. And if somebody was smoking or doing something, I'd call it in, watch the door and things like that, stop people, call it in. And that I could do. And for that, I got minimum wage. And then there were women, same age as me, working the bar. And they were making hundreds of dollars per night. And I was like, man, isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? And yet they still complain. Oh, I should be getting more money. Oh, it's so rough and stuff. I'm not talking about all women. I'm saying the women, some of them were really cool. Don't get me wrong. I eventually, I did get a job as a gopher. Some guy took pity on me and I was like, I can't find work, man. Nobody wants to hire me. And so he was like, I'll throw you $50 every night if you come in and help clean up. And I was like, you got it, man. Shout out. That guy was awesome. I don't remember his name. It was this is 16, 17 years ago. But when I was younger, it was when I'm 16, good luck, man. Every place that I could get a job at, which is going to be like fast food or a grocery store, would always choose to hire young women. I don't know if that's just the neighborhood I was in, but it was. I remember going to one place, all the employees were girls, and I was like, I'm looking for a job. And one of them was a friend of mine. She was like, dude, they only hire girls for this. They don't want guys working here. And I'm like, okay. I tried to get a job as a server once because I'm like, I could do that. And outright was told, like, we only hire women to be servers here. And I was like, okay. And so I think when you see, a woman like this, she's struggling right now. And outside of everything I was just mentioning, I think that there are a lot of service sector jobs that pay better that tend to hire women. I think it's an important thing to point out. As for this woman, let me play this video for you. You can hear it from her herself. Here you go.
This is the most humbled I've ever felt in my life. I'm literally holding resumes, a stack of them, so that I can go in person to places and say, are you guys hiring? It's honestly a little bit embarrassing because I'm literally applying for like minimum wage jobs. And some of them are being like, we're not hiring.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? This is not what I expected. I graduated college with 2 degrees in communications and acting. I speak 3 languages. Oh, this sucks. Like, I just want to be a TikToker if I'm being so for real with you. But
is this your content then?
Like, I literally need to make money. And so
you just want to be a TikToker. That's it. Well, shout out. Maybe you'll get some attention from this, but is that the content you're going to make? I got an opportunity for you, young lady, Loanie Santos, 26 years old. Where are you based out of? Are you in New York or something? Think about the video you just made. I want to make money. I need to make money. Let me throw you some information. The reason why it's so hard for you right now is that the labor market is, let's just say the labor pool is massive. And every day with, 5 to 10,000 low-skilled workers coming in, guess who you are competing with? Yeah. So when Joe Biden doesn't secure the border, you're going to have people coming into this country who need to live and work, who are going to be granted work permits. And then when you try and get your minimum wage job, they're going to say, lady, you got 3 degrees, you speak multiple languages. We're not hiring you to take out the garbage. You're going to quit in 2 seconds when you find a better job. We're going to fire... we're going to hire Santos over here, who just arrived in the country and got a work permit. And then you're going to say, but I'm Santos. And they're saying, no, you're an American woman, okay, with a college degree. Go find a better job. And you're going to say, but nobody's hiring. I need money. And they're going to say, you shouldn't have voted for Joe Biden then. Here's your opportunity. Why don't you make videos on TikTok complaining about inflation? Make videos on TikTok talking about how the labor pool is too flooded and it's hard to find work. At any rate, I think it's important to point out this, what is happening with the younger generation. Communications degree, is that a joke? Like, what is that going to get you in the real world? Acting? What is that going to get you? You know what, man? I feel bad for her. I don't blame young people for having been misled by the older generations. But that is literally what's happening now in schools, and it's going to just break everything. She needs a job. Loanie, I pronounce your name. She needs money. She needs to pay rent. This is why I brought up the feminist thing in the early portion of this. Like, maybe she might just be happier if someone else is covering her bills and she got to do whatever she wanted. But you know what? You always have to trade something. You don't just get to live for free. The problem right now is she can't even find work to pay her bills. Me personally, I think it's a product of Joe Biden's country and the mass border crisis, mass migration crisis. I also think it's a problem of these Gen Z kids being told, and millennials, go to college, get your degree. What, now she's got debt and nobody wants to hire her? I got to tell you, what can you do? What are your skills? You're 26 years old. You are a fully grown human adult. What are you doing with your life? Unfortunately, your entire opportunity for growth and development was wasted, but it's not your fault. I don't think so. It's the generations that came before you and the schools and the policies. Look, man, when you're a little kid, that's your opportunity for developing skills. As you get older into your teens, you are harnessing, refining, and mastering those skills. It's really easy to see when you look at pro sports. Skateboarding's a great example. The best pros in the world are like 19 years old. Some of the biggest feats accomplished in skateboarding were done by 13-year-olds or younger. And then, of course, you've got tremendous opportunity as you get older. You don't just stop, but a lot of the biggest names in pro skateboarding hit their peak when they're like 20. You're 20 years old. You've mastered your art at 20. You've pushed the boundaries at 20. And after that, you are just stable. You're 26. You've peaked. Congratulations. You were told to sit back, have fun, and party, and you did. And now you're 26 looking for a minimum wage job. Let me give some advice to everybody. The advice that I saw when I was 16. It's an economics article on the internet. Boy, I read the internet all the time. I would go to fark.com. Awesome website back in the day. And I don't know how old I was when I started going there, though, but maybe I was like 16. Man, that's crazy. I'd read Fark. Crazy. Anyway, the article said, if two 18-year-olds split their paths, one 18-year-old decides to work at McDonald's, making $7 an hour. The other 18-year-old decides to go to college. They are paying debt. They've taken out loans. 4 years later, we can look at the average salary increases and growth opportunity for McDonald's. The 18-year-old is now 22 with 4 years of experience at McDonald's. If they've studied, learned the policies and procedures while they were working, spent time, as much time as you would in college, working this full time. By 22, with 4 years, they should be either a shift supervisor or assistant manager. They will have earned, I don't remember the exact math or whatever, but they would be net positive to the tune of 40 or so, or $50,000 or $60,000. In fact, they may already have a savings to the tune of $10,000 after 4 years, depending on how they spend their money. To the 18-year-old who goes to college, they will have incurred, on average, $30,000 in debt, and they will leave at 22 with no work experience, no work understanding, no job opportunities, and $40,000 in debt. Which would you choose? And I thought, wow. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? The guy writing this wrote, if you went to any investor and said, you give me $40,000 and in 4 years, you will owe me $40,000 with interest, they would say, what? Why would I do that? If you went to an investor and said, for $40,000 invested, at the end of this time period, you'll have an additional $40,000 plus growth opportunity. They'd say, that sounds more like it. Imagine investing 4 years of your life, paying 40 grand to do it, coming out the other side thinking you're going to make money. It's just so unfortunate. Look, man, you want to know where the money's at? I'll tell you where the money's at. Mapping out systems at a young age and learning how the machine works and then running the machine. Think about the people who started YouTube at a young age or at YouTube's young age. There was no monetary opportunity. Think about people who started playing Pokemon, for instance. Did any of these people think they were going to be millionaires? There's actually a comic by Gary Larson, is the name, The Far Side. And it's a kid playing Nintendo, and his parents are hugging with thought bubbles of classified saying, seeking Mario player, expert Mario Brothers player needed, salary and benefits. The joke he was making was that these kids were wasting their time learning useless skills. But guess what? There are pro gamers, lots of them, esports. They're making a lot of money. Not all of them, but you can monetize if you can figure it out. Instead, you go to college to be taught by someone who's not actually in the field. Let me tell you guys something. After Occupy Wall Street, I was invited to give guest lectures to PhD journalism courses. And I had people, even my own family, being like, are you going to go to college now? I was 25. You're going to go to college now? I was like, why? I'm teaching the colleges. While these people went into a box to be told what to do, I went to the street and applied my knowledge of the internet technology to convey information in a way that was functional and efficient to the people who followed me. To the people in school, they were reading books about journalism done 10 years ago. Remarkable, isn't it? I feel bad. I wish you the best of luck. But you got to figure it out for yourself. You got to figure out how to convince someone to have, with that money in their hand, to hand it to you. I don't blame her. I wish her the best of luck. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.